All right, so fear and greed, market cycles. It's funny, by the time you guys finish this course, you're going to realize that all this stuff we talk about, especially in this section about market psychology, is just it's basically just a big course on humans, on human psychology. Like, a lot of people go to university and they study a psychology degree. Mostly girls do it. I tend to find that like a lot of girls do psychology degrees. But anyway, people go to university, they study psychology, and markets just end up being a big university course on understanding human psychology. I feel like you learn a lot, and I've personally learned a lot about how humans work, what our biases are and where we go wrong, and everything about, like the flaws of humans and our psychology from just being a participant in markets. And it's funny, you'll learn about certain psychological biases in psychology class, like a confirmation bias and things like that. And then you'll come into crypto and then you'll learn, oh, okay, so the reason that humans do this is the same reason that in this psychology class, humans were doing this flaw. You realize it's just a big human psychology class. And one of the biggest takeaways I want you to take away from this lesson here is that markets are the same over time. They're not exactly the same, they don't repeat, but markets rhyme. That's like the saying that everyone talks about. Markets don't repeat, but they do rhyme. And the way that they rhyme is they follow a similar cycle of the emotions going from fear to greed. So if you understand that a market will always go from peak fear to peak greed and back and forth for the rest of time, it's going to save you a lot of losses, and it's going to make you a lot of money. Because if you understand that it's just a matter of time before you get a good buy because the market gets fearful, or you get a good time to sell because the market gets greedy, you won't you won't feel like buying when everyone else is greedy, because hey guys, like you'll go, okay, so the market's bullish right now, but I know that I can't buy when everyone's really, really bullish. So I'm just going to wait a month or two until the market's fearful, and then I'll buy, right? When you understand that the markets always fluctuate back and forth, fear to greed, you will never again need to FOMO in to the market, or you'll never need to panic sell the bottom, because you understand that the market has a market cycle that repeats all the time. And if you understand where you are in the cycle roughly, then you will know how you need to act. Because markets, like I said, are a constant fluctuation from fear to greed to fear, right? This is like a little simple graphic of what it looks like, right? This is what the sentiment looks like. This is not what charts look like, but this is what the sentiment looks like. So you can see here that we have the let's call this green zone the buy zone and this red zone the sell zone. So at the bottom here, this region, this is where the market is really, really fearful and really afraid. And this is where you want to be buying. This is where the market is really bullish, really greedy, really euphoric, thinking that everything's going to the moon. This is where you want to be selling, right? This is the point of maximum risk. When you buy into an uptrend when it feels good, when the market is greedy, you're buying at a point of higher risk. Or if you buy at the top, you're buying when it has maximum risk, right? And when you buy when it's really, really fearful, when the market feels like it's going to die, when everyone's panicking, when people have capitulated and they just all sold because they can't handle it anymore, then you're probably in a point of maximum or near maximum opportunity, which always happens at the bottoms. Right? So the key to navigating market cycles where humans feel fear and they feel greed is to understand that you need to do the opposite of what the emotion is being felt in the market at that point in time. And like I just showed you, you want to buy when everyone's at the bottom of the sentiment, so like they think it's going to die, and you want to sell when they're super, super bullish, right? Pretty simple, but it's actually not that easy. So markets have, and they will always fluctuate like this, because humans are inherently the same generation to generation. So the driving factor of markets is humans, and in particular about humans, it's our emotions, right? Markets are driven by mostly human emotions. Now, your emotions are given to you at birth. You do not create emotions later on in life. You are given them when you are born. You're given a set of emotions and biases that you will feel, and it does not matter what happened at 22 years old. These emotions are generally always the same. Obviously, you can live some experiences and maybe certain emotions are more heightened than others. Maybe you feel more fear because you've had a very poor childhood and you've always, been afraid of spending money. So then when you take risk in markets, maybe the fear element is more apparent. Maybe you have more greed because you have a gambling tendency in your genetics, in your family. So you take on more risk. You're more greedy. But generally speaking, at birth, you're given a blank slate foundational level of emotions. You're given the ability to feel fear, greed, jealousy, right? All these different things. I saw this video on Twitter. It was really funny. It was this tiny little Chinese baby trying to get KFC out of a box. And I wish I had this video. Let me see if I can find it. It's fucking hilarious. Asian baby getting KFC out of a box. Okay, I don't know. Out of a... no, what was it was like a really funny caption. No, Asian baby eating KFC out of a box. This video, I found it. It's such a good video. So basically, like, this fucking baby is, it doesn't have any hand coordination skills. It can't hold its neck up. It can't do anything except just want all of the chicken. It feels, the only thing that this baby can do is feel greed, right? It only feels the greed of, I'm eating all of this chicken and fuck you mom, fuck you dad, I'm eating all of this chicken to myself, right? So at birth, maybe you learn things over time, but you're given these set of emotions, right? The ability to feel greed, the ability to fulfill fear, to feel anxiety, jealousy. You're given them at birth. And that's why markets do the same shit all the time. Because when you have kids, your kids will feel those emotions. When your kids have kids, those kids will feel emotions. And we pass on generation to generation the same shit that drives markets, right? And you can see here, obviously markets don't repeat, they rhyme. But this is a general idea, I'm sure you've all seen this photo, of how markets work, right? So what we have is, we have people, the same emotions, right? The emotion of hope, the emotion of disbelief, the emotion of optimism, belief, thrill, euphoria, complacency, anxiety, denial, panic, blah, blah, blah. So let's go over what each emotion feels just briefly. So at the beginning of a rally, the first thing you feel is disbelief. So you see prices going up, and you think to yourself, nah, I can't see this going up. Like it's just a bear market rally, is what people tend to say. After a while, you actually begin to understand, okay, maybe the market is coming back. Maybe this is a bull run. And you start to get a little bit bullish. And then we get to a stage where people actually understand, okay, we're in a bull market now. So that's the optimism phase, right? People are like, okay, it's a bull run. Bull run's back. And then we have the belief phase. So the belief phase is where you aren't just optimistic about the future. You genuinely believe it's a bull run. And that's when you start allocating heavy. And so as you can see here, a lot of people believe the bull run's here, and they're correct because the market's going up. And this period here is where most market participants make their money. And it's this period here, which is where most market participants lose the money that they make. So most people make money, and they make money during this period, right? Because below here, people don't really, the dumb people are afraid, right? Probably even sort of below here. Before the optimism phase, most people think we're in a bear market and they don't have money in the market. And it's this phase onwards where it goes parabolic, which is where everyone realizes the bull market and they buy in. Now, the problem is, in the market cycle sort of explanation, anyone who buys from optimism onwards ends up losing money, and a lot of it. Now you can see if you bought during disbelief, you tend to actually never lose money. Or if you buy during depression, you don't actually tend to lose money because you're getting the lowest possible entry. And that's what price tends to do. It tends to go back to where it sort of began. But you can see that if you buy during this, it's a bull market phase, you ultimately end up losing all the profit. And then, as the bull market goes on and on, it gets more and more heightened greed. So we start to feel thrill. You're making profit now. All these financial dreams that you have for your future are coming true. You're like, holy fuck, I'm going to get rich. I'm going to buy this Lamborghini. And then, at this point, you're now looking, oh my God, I can buy this island. I'm really rich now. I can afford all these things. Holy fuck, I'm going to retire my parents and make generational wealth. And then we have this big crash. And as you can see here, from this entire period up, we've had dips, which you buy and you make money from, right? Every dip you buy, you're rewarded because prices go up. And remember human psychology, there's an element of human psychology where if you want humans to do things, you need to reward them with a positive feedback loop. So if there's any parents watching, I worked in childcare. I don't have kids, but I worked in childcare. A lot of parents will relate to this. When you have kids and you want them to do something, or when you were a kid and your parents wanted you to do something, generally you want to reward them positively if they perform that action. So if your kid woke up one morning and was like, hey mom, I did the dishes, you would give them some sort of positive feedback. That's great, son. I'm really happy. Thank you for doing that. Right? Or at childcare, let's say a kid helped me clean up something, I would give them like a lolly or some shit. Right? You'd give them, I don't know, some sort of reward, or just positive feedback like, it's a good job, right? So that's the same thing in markets. You have prices going up, and then you have a reward for buying on the dip, and that encourages you to continue to do that thing. Now, the problem is there's going to come a point in the market where you can no longer buy dips, right? And that's this point. You get rewarded temporarily for buying the dip, but this is what you would call a complacency shoulder. So every other time you bought the dip, it went to new highs. This time, it didn't. And you get complacent. You think, it's bottomed. We always go to new highs. We just need to consolidate. Boom. And this is where people start to feel the inverse of this. So I would say it's like anxiety is like an inverse, complacency is like an inverse disbelief, right? Disbelief is like, nope, the trend isn't changing. Complacency is like, nope, the trend isn't changing. It's basically an ignorance to look at what the market is actually doing. And then anxiety creeps in and more panic ensues. So you can see here, this phase and this phase is the same. It's basically prices going straight up or straight down, right? And it's for the same reason. This is the realization phase that we are in a certain market, right? This phase here and this phase here is the disbelief phase. It's the, we're not, it's like the middle, it's like the shifting of a trend. But when a trend is underway, price tends to move fast in that certain direction because everyone's basically realizing all at the same time that we're either in a bull market or we're in a bear market. And if it's this other period, it's a phase of unknowing, right? You can see prices going sideways. People don't know what's happening, right? So that's how markets work, essentially. That's a little bit of an overview of the fear and the greed emotions. Now, in bull runs, markets climb a wall of worry as you pay a premium for increased confidence buying later and at higher prices in the bull run. So you can see here that the lower the price, the less belief and less confidence people have in the market. So if you buy here, no one believes the bull market is happening. So there's no confidence in the market. You have to buy when there's no confidence. If you buy here, people think maybe there's a chance of the bull run coming, but they're not sold on it. So there's a little bit of extra confidence in buying because people are a little bit more confident on the bull run happening. And that's why you pay a higher price. But it's still early days. There's still not much confidence. Now, optimism is, okay, this is a good rally. This is a good start. But we still have lots of time to accumulate, right? This is the beginning of the parabolic phase where confidence gets to a level where everyone is comfortable to buy in, right? And now at euphoria, everyone's got rich. Everyone was rewarded for buying dips. Everyone was rewarded for making dumb decisions like FOMO buying